Now to today's Simply Trending, we are sitting down with a viral doctor who is known online as the medical mythbuster. He uses social media to combat misinformation and explain racial bias in healthcare. Take a listen.
In people with darker skin, health disparities due to underrecognition of diseases has long been documented. Here's an example. Lyme disease is a bacterial disease that can be carried by ticks and cause a characteristic bullseye rash. But medical students are often taught to learn what it looks like on white skin, not darker skin. See the difference?
Joining us now is Ghanaian-American medical doctor, educator, and health equity advocate, Joelle Bervell. So good to have you with us.
Thank you for having me, truly.
Yeah, look, I started following your videos back 2020 during the pandemic. And I know that's when a lot of this took off. What inspired you to start these conversations?
Absolutely. 2020 was an interesting time. At the time, I was a second-year medical student. There was a lot going on in the world from the COVID pandemic, if we remember that. And I kept hearing in my classes that Black people were more likely to get COVID. But we never really dove into the reasons why, the historical reasons. And it struck me as weird that we didn't look at things like redlining or the history that forced specific populations to be in areas where they're more predisposed to get different conditions like COVID. And so I took to TikTok and started making TikToks about specifically racial biases that I didn't know why we weren't talking about in medical school. Things like pulse oximeters that don't read well on darker skin tones, or even algorithms that treat people differently based on their race. But it really began because of COVID and having time to sit down on my desk, create 30 to 90-second videos about things I wish we were talking about more in the medical system.
So incredible. And I know you now actually have a series called Racial Bias in Medicine. What do you hope people who watch that take away?
Yeah, so I have a series called Racial Bias in Medicine where I break down the ways that race still impacts the care that people get in the United States. My first video was about pulse oximeters, which are these devices that go in your finger. They measure your blood oxygen saturation level. Unfortunately, for decades, studies have shown that these devices can overestimate your oxygen saturation, meaning that if you have shortness of breath, it can actually read as normal. And further studies show that people, specifically Black patients, were sent home early from the hospital and not given supplemental oxygen because we were using this reading.
I love that. It's not enough to just say people of color are more predisposed to have this thing. You dig into the why, and clearly that why has resonated because you have over 1 million followers across all social platforms. One of your series just got a Peabody Award.
Did, yes.
And now you have a kids show coming out on YouTube, if not already out. Walk me through that.
Yeah, so the kids show is called The Doctors, and it actually is already out on YouTube. Our first episode, you can find it at The Doctors in Show. But it centers around this animated character named Leland who loves going to his local pediatrician, who's me, Dr. Bervell. And he loves just talking about basic science concepts. But the twist is we have our 3 magical medical supplies, Sammy the stethoscope, Otto the handbag, and Zeta the x-ray, where we talk about these concepts. Things like what happens when you lose your tooth? What is asthma? Why do we get hungry? Or the big question, what do doctors actually do every single day?
Why is making content like this so important to you? And why do you think there's still so much that goes wrong when someone with dark skin goes into the doctor's office?
Yeah, I always say that less than 6% of physicians in the United States are Black. And unfortunately, there's historical reasons why. There was exclusion all the way up until the Civil Rights Act, which actually allowed for integration and more Black doctors to be in these fields. But I create content like this because I feel like our narratives haven't been told. And that there is so much that we need to know about the way that Black patients are treated differently, whether it's not believing pain, Black maternal mortality. Black women are 3 times as likely to die during childbirth when compared to other races. All these things are often overlooked in the medical system because people who are from minoritized communities aren't in these spaces leading the forefront. So that's my goal.
And so much of this data can be sad or depressing, but I appreciate that a lot of your content is uplifting. What's one maybe takeaway tip you have for someone who wants to advocate for themselves?
Yes, I think that's exactly the tip. Advocate for yourself. A relationship with your doctor is just that, a relationship. The same way that you speak to your friend or your mom or your dad, you want to be able to share your most intimate parts of yourself with your doctor so they can do their best to help you. If you find a doctor that you're not getting along with, that's okay. You can search around and find someone else who either looks like you, who comes from the same background, to find someone that matches who you are. Some more practical tips: write down things before you go to the doctor. I think that's a huge one I always tell people. I love when my patients come in with questions that we can prioritize. 2, bring someone if you can. And 3, know that you have your options to find another doctor if you really need to.
So good. Well, there's always a lot trending out there, but it's encouraging to see some really informative stuff from people like you. Joelle Bervell, such a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Of course. And coming up, are you feeling the burn? How the extreme summer heat can take a toll on your mental health. We'll dig in coming up on NBC News Daily.